Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics with your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. We're going to talk about Bright Moments Mint coming up, Yuga Ordinals, Blur going mobile, a bunch of cool art sales. Let's get right to it. Starting off with a quick market overview. Volume's up a little bit from yesterday, but still down pretty bad from where we were about a week ago. If you look at this pink line here, you can see we're kind of at those levels that we were at before Airdrop Season 2 began on Blur. Unique users, unique buyers down a lot. You know, this chart is really trending lower. Not as low as Saturday, which was kind of a crazy day, but still that's moving a little bit in the wrong direction. Large cap index down a touch, a bit of strength in Azuki, a bit of weakness in Moonbirds and Clone X. In terms of the mid cap projects, Goblins were up big, up 30%. Crypto Dick Butts, Degen 2's down a little bit. Now, I say it was up big, it was up 30%. If you look at this chart for Goblins, you can see that, like, really compared to where we've been, this isn't a big move. When your floor gets down to 0.4, 0.5 ETH, you know, a 15, 20% move, even 30% move, doesn't move the needle all that much. But zooming in a little bit, you can see here that we had a nice little up move. I'm not exactly sure what drove that. 2-Bit Bears, going to highlight this one. 2-Bit Bears created some deep fake video of me and Kevin Rose. Go check it out. Kind of crazy. I do, just to kind of clear the record, I do wear pants every time, but sometimes I do wear snow pants, ski pants when I'm doing these shows. Right now, we're in jeans, we're normal. But 2-Bit Bears, on the back of this video, the floor price went up to 0.07 ETH. Congrats to those guys. Heads by Matt Fury was a project that had a big move going up to 3 ETH. In this case, not sure exactly what drove it. Another thing happening under the surface, Punks flipped apes just by a little bit. Punks and apes are constantly going back and forth. This is not a big deal. I mean, the first time apes flipped punks was around New Year's Eve of 2021, 2022, like between those 2 years. That was a big deal. Right now, they kind of go back and forth. Still found this kind of interesting right now with Punks getting a little boost from Blur and Punks just being a stable NFT, you know, in a crazy world. I feel like this is a moment where Punks have done decently well. Now, one thing I always say whenever I talk about how Punks have flipped apes or apes flip Punks is that apes have given out a ton of airdrop value to holders. The ape is actually only worth about 50% of what all the airdrops put together are worth between the ape coin, the kennel, the mutant, and other stuff they've received. Right now, the full set of value an ape has received over if you minted one and just kind of held it, is over 130 ETH. So I always put that disclaimer in when I talk about punks or apes flipping each other. Another piece of news, Porch 911, they dropped their co-pilots. Here's what the art looks like. You know, obviously this is the drop that they were talking about doing to the people who minted as opposed to the people who own the NFTs. But the floor for those co-pilots is about 0.16 ETH. Always nice to get a little drop in your inbox, in your wallet. We're an NFTs wallet. And then in terms of art projects, you know, the two main projects were the ones we talked about yesterday on the show, Strands of Solitude, Materia Mania. You know, both of those floor prices down a fair bit, but that was where the most of the volume was in art projects. Braindrops have been totally hot. You know, we talked about how they were up more than 4x just year to date. We're seeing a little bit of that taper off. Nothing, I think, that is a cause for alarm or anything, but a little bit of a taper off in that index, which was just completely on fire as of a week ago. Story number 2, Yuga Ordinals reveal. This happened a couple days ago. We're talking about it now. Yuga said the inscription process for 12-fold is currently underway, and then they're going to post a notice when people actually get this. I don't think they've been sent, but we have seen the art, and this is what it looks like. Some really cool colors, some really cool textures. I think there is some good stuff happening here. If you look at the way that their head artist described it, he said they want to have 4 different color palettes, one for each of the seasons. Basically say if you're in a crypto winter or a DeFi summer, you know, like either way, we're still here. We're still in this NFT movement. We still believe in what we're doing. And you can see these color palettes show up a little bit in the work that you see here. Now, I think where it got a little bit more controversial is this was kind of the screenshot that did get tweeted around. This is 8 of the different pieces that they showed up. And, you know, and they're just very, very similar. I think there is kind of this battleship feel. I don't think that's the bigger issue. I think the issue that people took with it is more that it just looks like, you know, you took a palette and then just say, okay, we'll do these 12 and then those 12 are done. And it didn't quite have as much thought as I think sometimes people expect, especially when you're dealing with the price point that Yuga was at. Now, to be fair, the artist before the reveal said that it's based on a 12 art system, but basically that there are 25 different series of 12. So he did kind of give a nod to the idea that they are going to be bunched in groups of 12, but still, I think people found this didn't quite live up to expectations that this was happen. My quick thought on this overall launch is that you have nice textures, colors, designs. I kind of like them, but I think with generative art, when you use the word generative art, we are used to art blocks. One of the cool things about art blocks is that every single piece is random. Every single piece in art blocks takes this string basically of the wallet address of the person who is minting it. And from that string derives a ton of different variables and creates different outputs based on those variables. And I think if you look at projects like Fidenza's, you see that you get a lot of different randomness that kind of fits into it while still having this family feel. And I think that this didn't seem to have that as much. It didn't feel like there was a randomness to it. It felt like it was much more predetermined, which is what it was. But I think that since we're thinking of generative art, we thought it might be a little different. I think there are other aspects that felt a little less polished. One of the outputs actually was used twice in 2D, according to the site. So I think that kind of came across a little bit weird. And the other thing is that when you charge, when you didn't charge, but when the auction, whether it's you're doing or not, when the auction gets to $16 million plus, there's just a very high standard, a real high standard for excellence. People do start comparing you to Fidenza's. I talked to someone on our podcast over the weekend, Ipsketch, who talked about how he spent 9 months on the algorithm for his Art Blocks curated piece. And I think that's kind of the tier you start getting compared to. And maybe that led to a little bit of uncertainty or disappointment. I don't think Yuga's in this for the meme. I think Yuga wants to be excellent at what they do. And when they do art, I think they want to be excellent at art. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Again, 300, a ton of people love this brand. Curious to see how it trades when we actually start seeing trades in the open market. One other thing that happened on top of this was Jack Butcher launched these 12 checks. He basically turned it into a meme, made fun of those outputs that I showed you, and he airdropped them to the people who owned single checks. There are only 12 single check owners. Single check basically means that you've already burned a ton of the original checks. I don't know the number, maybe 40, 50, something like that, in order to get a single check. And each of them got dropped one of these checks here from Jack Butcher. You can see them here, and then you can see the floor price right now is 25 ETH. Obviously zero volume. The top bid's around 1.44 ETH. So I feel like Jack is just on top of the game right now, sees the meta, sees something happening, puts it into his project, gives it to his collectors, creates cool stuff. I just think like Jack right now in the narrative, the NFT narrative game is just absolutely crushing it. So congrats to everybody around there. Third story to talk about, Blur goes to mobile. You can see here they announced they are going to be launching NFTs on mobile, more functionality coming soon. You can now buy and sell them. Now, one thing to know about this, people said like this is very different from OpenSea. I don't think that it really is, because this is not an app. If you actually go to the App Store and look up Blur, you're just going to get a bunch of photography apps. The reason is that Apple has made it very difficult to buy and sell NFTs on App Store apps. What this does mean is if you go to blur.io, you'll go to that website and you'll get to go in and trade and be involved in that process using your MetaMask app as well. Now, the market like this, the Blur token is up 33%. I say the market like this. I think this was a small piece of news. The real news for the Blur token is that Blur is a high beta version of the crypto market. As we know, crypto is completely on fire right now. Completely, Bitcoin above 24,000, Ethereum above 1,700. In a world where the fiat system is feeling shaky, people are saying crypto is a great alternative, and Blur as a high beta cryptocurrency was up a lot, but nice to have a little bit of news as well. And then this guy, OX Warning, who I've tweeted a few times, I think he's a really great contributor on Twitter, talked about how Blur also created a feature where they're now creating notifications on the site of when your bids are accepted, something he said he's been asking for a while. And I think we are seeing this, that Blur's just moving faster with doing new things, listening to the community a little bit more. They're just newer, younger, have all this momentum. And I think we're starting to see that in a couple bit of features. Again, competition. One of the great things about this situation is just competition is making the products better, ideally for everybody. So that's one take for sure, but nice to see that. Fourth story to talk about, the Bright Moments mint is today. I believe it's at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, Bright Moments is kind of known for this pixelated art, super cool crypto citizens type stuff. You've probably seen that before, but really they're all about in real life events. So each of these crypto citizens was dropped to people at their in real life events in the different cities around the world. The last one they did was Mexico City. The next one they're going to be doing is in Tokyo. And what they do, I think what their more keynote product is that they get a bunch of top line artists together physically in the location. This will be in Tokyo. And those artists, basically, if you own a pass for that artist, you go and you mint it together with them. You mint your piece of their work. They've always focused on generative art, but now they're doing one on AI art. And if you want a pass to participate in that, to be in Tokyo, to use that pass and get an artist's work, you have, right now is the auction for buying those passes. It's a public blind auction with a rebate. So wherever the price lands, if you bid higher, you will get that rebated to you. The starting price is 10 ETH for mint or 110 ETH for getting one of any of them. I think, or one of all of them. I do think it'll go lower, but it'll be curious because this AI concept is hot right now. You have some great artists that are going to be participating. Claire Silver, Pinder Van Arman, Neural Bricolage, Human, who just did the mint over the weekend, Kevin Abashi. I just have a lot of great talent that you might get to meet in person and mint one of their works for yourself. A reminder, these are other Bright Moments projects that have been minted in the past. These two were both minted in Mexico City. 100 Untitled Spaces by Snowfro currently has an 11 ETH floor. Boss something long, not going to try to butcher that. Sorry, DCA. But Daniel Calderon Arenas, Snowfro's brother, also had this really beautiful piece that was also a Bright Moments piece, currently has a 4 ETH floor. So it'll be really cool to see. I think this Tokyo event is going to be awesome. I love Tokyo. Again, I lived in Asia for 15 years. Here's a little bit more about the project. Basically, they're going to be overlooking the Shibuya crossing, the really busy crossing in there. And there are going to be some educational sessions, in really cool kind of Japan architecture. I think this will be a cool event. I think it'll be a lot of fun. They're also going to be doing not just the AI mint, they're also going to be doing a generative artist mint, and that one has already minted. The floor price is down to 0.37, so not going to get, I think this AI one will be a little bit higher, but some of those artists who've been selling well, Zancan, Keto Golid, both have had sales of their passes for 8.8 ETH, 6 ETH. Eventually they will announce, what pass you have. So interesting to see something coming up. It's probably in just a couple hours from when you see the show. Last thing to talk about is a few notable sales. First is the Skeleton Meebit for 60 WETH. Skeleton Meebit's doing some movement. Let's see it. Now, why is Skeleton selling for such a high price when the Meebit floor is 3? Because there are only 57 of them. Out of a collection of 20,000, only 57 of these. You can see that there have been some massive Skeleton Meebit sales in the past, one for 321 ETH here in the lower left. The most recent Skeleton sale was 8 months ago for 115 ETH. That was a suit, similar to the one that just sold. So we're down a fair bit from that. Not too surprising, but still nice to see a little bit of liquidity for some of the grails there. Piece number 2 to talk about, Damager Luxe number 2 by XCOPY. This sold for 30 WETH. Now, this is part of the Max Payne and Friends collection, which was the open edition where the floor is below 1 ETH because there are so many thousands of them. But within that, there are a few that are more grails. This Damager Luxe is one of those top grails. You can see each of these Waster, I'm not even sure how to pronounce that, Gourmet Spicy. A few of the other ones have had sales above 20 ETH, but you can see I've kind of circled this in pink. It was the Damager Luxe at 30. That's the highest ever for that. And then the last sale to talk about, this piece, 420 by csinclair for 6.69 ETH. Cool. This guy does a lot of cool art that's really just one-line animations. This static GIF or JPEG doesn't really do it justice because there is a lot of animation that goes into it in this piece. Still very, very cool. Colin Sinclair is the artist's name. He's based in Chicago. He says he started drawing people's faces with a single line to express the idea that we're all connected, and was inspired by the fact that a single line could hold such deep meaning. Now, he has a lot of this single line work. The Michael Jordan one, I think, is the coolest, sold for 10.7 ETH. I think that's his biggest sale, but you can see another one, The Last Supper, in the lower left. He also has some other work, though, that's really colorful and kind of still abstract, but looks pretty awesome too. One piece sold for 10 ETH, and others at different price points. So very cool artist here. I was pumped to see this sale. Interesting to see his work. That's all for the unique sales. I'm going to throw one last thing in here. One last thing just to kind of give you something to go home with is the Sotheby's auction is Contemporary Discoveries is online. That's going to be ending today. Over the next 24 hours. You have a lot of really cool artists in there. A lot of guys we talk about, Terrell Jones, OXDGB, Searlight, Tyler Hobbs, Pinder Van Arman, a lot of the really best artists. There's some really good deals that are going on in there. So go check it out. Check out that auction. See if there's anything interesting. A lot of times you do get discounts for stuff on Sotheby's because just the buyers who are used to this aren't always there. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did like it, give us a like below, subscribe to the channel, tell us what you think. I read every single comment, try to respond to most of them. We'll be back tomorrow and every weekday with another show. Have a good day.